Okay, class. Lesson 6.4 has to do with probability. We're coming up on the Super Bowl. And there's all kinds of things that you can, quote unquote, bet on when it comes to the Super Bowl. So what people do is they determine the probability that something is going to happen, the actual probability, and then let people decide if they want to put their money on this or that. Of course, that's a very dangerous thing to do, okay? And even not the right thing to do in most cases. But what we're talking about is the chance or the likelihood that something is going to happen. When you flip a coin, they're going to start the game with a coin flip. What's the probability of landing on heads? 1 over 2, yeah, because there's one side that's heads out of 2 possible outcomes. One of the terms that you have to know is the term outcomes. Those are all of the possible things that can happen. And the number of the chances that you want to happen over the total possible outcomes gives you a fraction. Okay? The fraction 1 out of 2 demonstrates the probability of landing on heads. Right? Then, there's another way to look at probability. Okay? One way is to look at it as a ratio, not the number out of the total possible outcomes, but the number that it could happen over the number that it could not happen. Or the number of favorable out of the unfavorable. Okay? So there's 2 ways that we're going to look at probability. Let's look at this example. The probability of rolling a 6 on a 6-sided die. Okay? If you're, there's 1 chance out of 6 sides, so the chances are 1 out of 6. Or we can change it to a percentage with probability. How do you find a percent?
So let's say it's 5 over, so 1 over 6, you just divide by 6.
Yeah, 1 divided by 6. Okay, and then how do you change it from that decimal to a percent? Because that'll give you a decimal, right? That'll give you 0.16666. How do you change that to a percent?
1 divided by 6
times 100. And then, usually you'll need to round that to the nearest tenth. Okay? So, 16.7% chance that you'll roll a 6. Now, there's another word that you need to know, and that is called the complement. The complement of something happening. If the chances of rolling a 6 are 1 out of 6, then the chances of not rolling a 6 is called the complement of the event. Okay? The complement is what? What is the complement or the chances that you won't roll a 6? What's the probability that you will not roll a 6? Kira?
84.3%.
83.3%. 83.3% chance that you will not roll a 6. Because there are 5 sides that are not 6 out of the total. Okay? Any questions on outcomes versus complement? Let's get to favorable and unfavorable then. That's called the odds for something happening. If we're using this same example, we could write the ratio this way. There's 1 chance of rolling a 6 and 5 chances of not rolling a 6. So these are called the odds for something happening. All right? And so this gives you how many chances it will happen over how many chances that it won't happen. Sometimes it's called the favorable, meaning that's what we want, over the unfavorable. Okay? And that just gives us numbers then. This is a ratio. We would not convert this to a percentage. We would leave this as a fraction. So the odds for rolling a 6 are 1 to 5. What are the odds against rolling a 6? No. The odds against it. If the odds for it are 1 to 5, then the odds against it are
4 to 5.
5 to
1.
5 to 1. There's 5 to 1 odds against rolling a 6. Okay? Does that make sense? Now, ratios can be written this way as well. Okay? So we could write it as 1 to 5 or 5 to 1 if those were our numbers. Or if we had 6 favorable out of 8 unfavorable, we would reduce this fraction to 3/4, and we could write it as 3 to 4. Okay? Let's look at the book. And let's go to the first section here. Number 2 in your book says, find the probability of rolling one number cube, or one die, of rolling a 3 or a 4. The probability of rolling a 3 or a 4. So, how many chances are there to roll a 3 or a 4? Isaac? 2. Yep, out of the 6 sides, right? 2 chances to roll a 3 or a 4 out of the 6 sides. So the probability is, reduce it to 1/3, and now convert it to a percent. 0.33 repeating, which is, come on, think. Multiply by 100. 33.3%. Yep. So write both of these when you're writing the probability for the first section. Okay? Let's look at number 8. Number 8 gives us the word Arkansas. Let's say that all those letters were put into a hat. What is the probability of pulling an R, the letter R? Well, how many letter R's are there, Dylan? How many letter R's are there in the word? We're on page 312. How many R's are there in that word? 1. Out of how many total letters? Hunter?
8.
Out of 8. So the probability of rolling an R is
1 out of 8.
1 out of 8, or, and write the percentage,
12.5%.
12.5%. Okay? Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. How about odds for or odds against? number 15. Or no, let's do number 14. We'll do that one together. Remember, odds for and odds against is a ratio of the favorable, not over the total, but over the unfavorable, the ones that we don't want. So, number 14 says what? Somebody read that one. Chase?
Suppose you choose a letter at random
From the
From-
word.
That just sounds. This word is wrong. The word arithmetic. What are the odds in favor of selecting a vowel? What are the odds against selecting a vowel?
Yeah, so the vowels in that word, how many vowels are there? 4 vowels. So the odds, we're looking for odds in favor, so we put that on the top line. 4 vowels. And since we're talking about odds, what would we put on the bottom? Would we put the total number of letters? No. Put what? The number of consonants, which are 6. Good. Now what? How do we write then? How do we write the answer? How can we write it as a ratio at the dots? Joey? Yep. So the odds in favor are 2 to 3. What are the odds against? What? What are the odds against? No, this is the odds for, because we put favorable up on top. If it's odds against, we put the unfavorable first. So the odds against would be, no, it's a ratio, still a ratio. We just reverse it. The odds against it would be 3 to 2. 3 to 2. Yep. Can we use this to find the probability?
Yes.
Yeah, because probability is total. How many total letters are there? Can we look at this and get the total letters? 10. Yep. Or if we reduce the fraction, it'd be 2/3, so a total of 5. So 2 out of 5 would give us what percent?
2 out of 5, probably like 1.5%.
No. 2/5 would be equal to what fraction in tenths? 4/10, which is 0.4 times 100. 40. 40%. 40%. Yeah. Yep. 40%. Now, class, is 40% the odds or the probability?
Probability.
It's the probability. Yeah, that's the amount out of the total. The amount out of the total. Okay, your assignment is 2 through 24 evens for tomorrow. 2 through 24 evens, okay?
So you say go home.